Righty ho then, we're recording. Hi Raina, how are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thank you.
Lovely to see you, and thanks for coming on today. So this is a little interview with Raina Joyce of Q Prints and Neats. Raina and I are in the same networking groups, and we've known each other, what, about 4 years now, I think?
Yeah, so 4 years. Yeah.
Roughly that. And so I my one of my businesses is that I'm an independent consultant and brand ambassador with Arbon, and one of our main missions is, well, we're a B certified corporation, which means that we balance people, planet, and profit. Meaning that, in a lot of companies, profit's going to be one of the most important things, but for us, we've got to prove that the planet and people are equally important, that we have lots of measures in place to improve things like our sustainability measures, our carbon footprint, recyclable stuff, where our ingredients come from, and all of that. And so I was really interested to see recently, actually, some news from Raina, because I keep I follow her business and she sends me a newsletter, and just to see some changes that have happening from a print world perspective that I just love the sound of. So Raina, just really briefly, tell us what it is you do. I've kind of given the intro there of what you do, but tell us about your business.
Okay, so I'm Raina from Q Prints, and we manage people's prints. So we help people on projects or ad hoc jobs, and we'll oversee it from design through to delivery. And yeah, we cover a whole range of general business stationery to large format promotional items and clothing. So across the scale, really.
Just realised I've got my pencil in front of me here. Where is it? Oh, there. You can hardly see it, but anyway, yes. And I personally, my little testimonial is that I love the customer service you have, and nothing's too small or too big, and you're brilliant at communicating on requirements. I remember once there was something wrong in my branding guideline, and you're like, are you sure that's the right colour? Because it doesn't look like it's the right colour. But you made sure. You didn't just go with what I said. You made sure, and you called me to. And so I love that side of what you do. What shift are you seeing then in the consumer? So in people asking you for print, and for, I know personally, actually, when I was looking to get something done to give people, I was sort of like, oh, well, it's got to be eco-friendly, and it's got to be, I don't want too much plastic and this, that. Are you noticing a shift?
Massively, massively. Yeah, definitely, which is kind of why I mentioned it in the newsletter. Um, I think people are just more aware of the changes they can make, and that it doesn't have to be really expensive to make small changes. Um, and I think also, I don't know if lockdown had an effect, but I think people are more aware of what's around them and want to take that extra care and look after the planet, and maybe saw a bit more beauty and things like that in lockdowns. And it does seem to be since then that I saw the change. Which is kind of why I mentioned that in the newsletter. It was a real significant change, I thought. And it is just people coming to me asking what options are available. A lot of people don't realise that there are alternative options. So there's like recycled options, or they're recyclable options, organic materials for clothing. So I'm finding a lot more people are actually saying, we want this, do you do something eco-friendly? And that does seem to be like the end of the conversation when they sign off in the email, which is really good. And it kind of opens my eyes more, because I'm delving more into different products and things that are available in the market, and new things as well. So yeah, definite shift.
That leads on to my second question then, actually, which is, how are you guys addressing it? What are you doing differently?
Yep. So, as I say, a bit more research into products that are available, and making people aware. So, advertising maybe with the blog and the newsletter, making that awareness as well, and also checking on our suppliers, making sure that they're doing their sort of responsible bit as well, sort of reducing sort of carbon footprint and the emissions. Um, they're normally quite open, and actually are happy to email us with information to say, hey, look what we're doing. Even simple changes like, well, say simple, but small changes, like removing chemical-based solutions on the pre-press work, using more water-based, different types of inks. So yeah, so there's lots of information out there, and yeah, really good changes. Really good changes.
That's brilliant, because things you wouldn't even think about, because we think about the material of the thing, but we don't actually necessarily think about the chemicals involved. Okay, we're back. Someone was at my door. The power of technology that you can press pause. Okay, so yes, we were saying about ingredients. Like I wouldn't have even thought about the inks and things like that. So I love that you're able to do all of that now, Raina, and offer those solutions for people who are really thinking about, we think about what we use at home, and we go on about recycling and all of that, and not using so much water, for example, not using the car so much, but also what are we doing in our business? And I guess what we choose, that was my situation, what I choose to give as one business is going to reflect on my ethos in my other business as well. So I love it. Thank you so much. If there's like a call to action you'd like to give for people, or something you'd like them, or where's your website, if you want to just share, do a little plug.
Yeah, sure. So the website's www.qprintstneots.co.uk. We're going to be launching a second website as well, which will feed off of that, which is where people can order online as well, check out, and so it makes the process a bit more simpler for some people. But ultimately, I still like to deal directly with the customer, because there's always options as well. So people don't always think there's options. There might be something, a better product, or a more cost-effective product, or something that might be more suitable for their product, for their project. So yeah, customer relation is sort of focus for me, really.
Brilliant. I love it. And talking about product life cycle as well. So for example, pencils, my own little plug is that I'm doing a talk. It's not really about Arbonne, but it's I'm gonna bring Arbonne into it as a case study, but it's about TerraCycle, which is the organization where you can send stuff back. So for example, this pump here, that wouldn't go in the that would go in the recycling, that wouldn't. Or for example, that when that can possibly go in the recycling, but this, no one's going to deal with that. So TerraCycle allows companies to send stuff back, and I'm doing a talk on that as part of the Sustainable St Albans Festival, SOSTFest,
Oh,
on the 28th of May at 1:30, and it's free if anyone wants to come along. But one of the things on the list on the TerraCycle website, it's not just branded stuff, it's pens and pencils. So how many times do you finish your pen or pencil? And here in my office, I've got a bin, and next to it, I've got paper, cardboard, that kind of stuff. Hand creams I run out of, all of the stuff that would go in recycling. But these always, and pens will go in the bin.
yeah.
Always. However, with TerraCycle, you can send them back. So there is a depot that you can, there are depots locally to most people where you can collect up your pens, pencils, crayons, and they get dealt with differently. They don't just go into landfill. So I thought that'd be quite interesting for you. So there is a way to have a life cycle there.
That's really good, actually. And I think also it saves it, because some people are lazy. So if you've got like your mascara or something there, and you've got
Yeah.
the two components, you've got the main body and the lid, one you can recycle, the other you can't. People just bin it rather
Chuck
than
it in.
take the time to unscrew it and separate it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it kind of eliminates that. There's just another bin they can chuck it in,
Yeah.
and do that at the end. So I think that's really good, because it's amazing how much does go into landfill.
Yeah.
I was just looking at a couple of stats the other day, and the scientists think that by 2050 there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish, which is really quite scary. It's a really quite scary thought.
Where
And so
are these people throwing bottles in the sea? Like, show me them. Honestly, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
yeah, and I suppose and if it gets thrown outside, it gradually breaks down, then it ends up going back into the waterworks, isn't it, and things
Yeah,
like that. But
totally.
yeah, but I think if people just make those small changes, like we was mentioning before, um, it can make a massive difference. I think something like only 75% of paper actually ends up in the bin rather than in recycling, which is a lot. Which is a lot, because I think they were saying the average person uses 4.5 trees a year in paper, and the sort of standard office person will use 10,000 sheets of paper a year. So if only 25% of that is being recycled, that's a lot of waste that's unnecessarily going
Oh my word,
in
yeah,
the landfill.
absolutely.
Yeah,
even if it is stuff that's come from a sustainable source and
yeah.
all of that.
That's it. Not necessarily it's using it. It's the disposal of it, isn't
What
it?
you
That
can do. Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Raina, it's been a joy. Not a play on words there. It's been a joy to speak to you. Thank you so much for chatting to me about all of this. I think it's really, really important. It's all going in the right direction.
Yeah,
So if you'd like to contact either of us, you know where we are. Raina will be tagged in this and me too. So thank you for your time, Raina.
thank you for inviting me.